Last time on Zero to Hero, our boy Sil got his legendary weapon and is now fat with cash. Where is he on his legendary journey? How much more does he have to go before his goals are complete? The end is near as a new journey begins on this episode, Zero to Hero. So last week we got flush with cash and I did some solid world versus world stuff, and I've mainly been trying to do my provisioner token stuff, and I have made notable progress. We still need our LI, we still need our gifts of condensed might and magic, and we need our mystic clovers, which we are sitting on a big fat goose egg right now. We have none. However, that's okay because we're about to hit the quarterly reset. We officially have one more episode before Janthir Wilds releases. I'll still be trying to raid Fractal, get my provision tokens, all that stuff, even though we will be working through the expansion. And like I said, it might only be a week or two for the first set of content releases, because really the only thing dropping is the spear, a couple maps, and some story. I won't be grinding too hard for anything up front, so I will just experience it, share some thoughts, and then we can get back to the hero's journey on this account. Last week I mentioned I needed to spin up some alts on the account. I put a poll out on the community tab, and the comment section had a pretty good mix of things. I think it was mostly Necromancer and Revenant, and I ultimately will follow the wishes of my community and spin up the Revenant, which did win the poll on my community tab, and I'll be focusing on map completion and gearing them out. Realistically, the Necro will also be getting some action once legendary armor is complete, and my primary focus for that character will be Heal Scourge and Condi DPS and a Lax Scourge. It might be a little bit since I still need a Condi set for Condi Virtuoso, but a Q DPS Herald will be my primary gearing focus on the Revenant, and legendary armor is not going to help me with that, so I'm going to start kind of putting away gear for that one. The good thing about the Revenant is that they have a really strong Celestial build on a couple of their specializations, and I'm mostly going to be gearing that boy with Fractal drops. We are officially in tier 4 Fractals now. I think I'm at like personal level 78 or something along those lines, and since I can see the tier 4 LFG, I can join the CM groups and regularly do the daily T4s. There are a ton of good resources that come out of those Fractals. It is one of my primary game modes that I enjoy. They provide money, ascended gear, spirit shards, tier 6 trophies. There's really no losing. And I actually did kind of a longer rant on Fractals with Pseudo's Build Wars 2, which he has about 3 hours of footage of us talking, and we are just talking about what we like about the game, why we still play this game. And so he is editing that video, so swing over to his channel, keep an eye out for that upload. And I think that we had a really great conversation. We did a little bit of both what I like and then what he likes. It was a really cool concept, and I always like Pseudo. He does more live streaming. He's working on uploading more videos and having more structured videos to his channel. But if you ever see him on live, you should definitely swing by. He does a lot of Guild Wars 2 trivia. He does a lot of PvP and World vs. World. He is one of my favorite creators in that kind of space. And if you are a warrior player, he is probably one of the most knowledgeable warriors that I've run into. Now that I'm done glazing Pseudo, I actually am working on my second GIF of battle, which I'll slowly be working towards periodically. And now is a good enough time as ever to talk about World vs. World, which I neglected to do last week. And I did talk about it a little bit while I was talking with Pseudo. But let me tell you that the new server blade system hasn't really done any favors for casual World vs. World players and guildless players, or players that play off of peak hours. And I am fully aware that I play Guild Wars 2 at the most inopportune time slot on NA. It is extremely early on the PST side of the house, and it's still early on the EST side of the house, and then it is extremely late for the C and Oceania players. And one of the things that Pseudo actually brought up to me is that with the revamp to World vs. World scoring, it kind of downplays the impact that the Oceania players have on the game mode, because off-peak hour points don't count as much. So while most people don't really care about world score or winning the matchup, the players that do care about that are decentivized from playing. But for the most part, when it comes to World vs. World, I just get in there, I play, I try to flip some camps, I public tag, and just have some fun. That's the purpose of the game mode. I really think World vs. World is awesome. I wish it got more love. I wish I had more reason to play it. But outside of the gifts of battle, I don't really have a reason to spend a significant amount of time there. But I am trying to do more of it, and I don't want to spoil any conversation that we had with Pseudo any more than I already have. So if you want more world versus world discussion and my thoughts on that, you'll have to wait until he's done with his video, and then you'll get a little bit of the best of both worlds. But as far as the playtime on the Zero to Hero account, you should expect basically doing raids, world versus world, fractals, provisioner token farming, a Revenant map completion eventually, but I will be doing something a little different on the Revenant. I will be using the skill vendor in World vs. World to skip all of the hero points in Corteria, and this strategy really speeds up the process, and I could not utilize it on my first go around because of lack of resources. But by the time that we get to the second map comp, I should be able to just skip all of the hero points, and it will speed things up significantly. As for last week, I asked you what kind of content you'd like to see covering Janthir, and I've taken your responses into account. I'll be doing general thoughts similar to this, or I might even do a more structured video highlighting different aspects of it. I'd like to give a full review the time that it deserves, rather than the kind of rushed piecemeal review that I did of Soto, and I'd like to not repeat my mistake for Janthir. So as we work through it, I'll share some thoughts, and then later down the line, once everything is released and we're kind of in that holding pattern, I'll try to do a more structured video similar to the way the Mighty Teapot review was for Soto, where I can cover the entirety of the expansion. Speaking of Janthir, this question for you guys this week is going to be about Janthir. We are a week away now. We have a good idea of all of the features: homesteads, Warclaw, spears, new maps. We've had a number of different blog posts, a number of different teasers, new news articles. Now that we have all the information available, the question this week is, what do you think is the best feature that's being released? It'll be interesting to look back once we are playing through Janthir and see if some of those features turn out as good as we thought they were going to be. Getting into your thoughts from last week, our boy Steve wanted Necromancer, which I promise we'll get there. Necromancer shares armor weight, so once legendary armor is complete, Necro will basically already be done. It's already boosted. It is currently my Jade Runestone farmer. I'm not sure if my perspective is unique, however, I did put a lot of time into optimizing my gameplay, and I'm not really worried about grinding gold. I do want to eventually do a standalone video talking about meta trains and the concept of the 30 gold per hour farm. Gold farming videos are extremely popular in the YouTube space, and for the most part, they are more or less entirely unnecessary, as you all know based on how this series has been turning out. Incosto said Revenant, which you're getting your wish, so congratulations. I think Rev can be pretty boring overall in terms of viewing people play Rev, but I have played an absolute ton of it and I have a lot of fun. While I was grinding Fractal God on my main, I was a Condiolac Revenant for what felt like forever. It was between Condiolac Rev or Heal Firebrand. Overall, I am looking forward to getting into the Revenant again because I want to see how the rework changed Renegade, because I haven't touched that at all. Maddie Spatula suggested to find a World vs. World guild that runs when I run, and while I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, I don't run World vs. World often enough to get value out of a World vs. World guild, so to speak. If they rally every Saturday morning and I only do one Saturday a month or one Saturday every 3 months, it doesn't really do me that much good. Overall, I respect World vs. World, and I do want to try to incorporate shorter play sessions. I just wish that it was more available for the jump in and jump out type of play style. Right now, it is heavily shifting towards the coordinated guild play style and away from that kind of like on-demand play style. You still can do it, and that's what I've been doing, but it definitely is different than like peak hours or roaming. Karin Matsu wants some more raid guides, which, like I always say, I will make more raid guides eventually. The hard part is really just finding time to do so. I want to stay consistent with the series. I want to stay consistent with some of the meta topics that come up here and there, and I will still incorporate one-off videos on the channel for things like raids. However, my capstone courses have already started, so I'm pretty much in the too many things, too little time part of my life. In 8 weeks, I'll be free. Mr. 5597 mentioned he has various builds that he rotates between to break up the grind, and I'm 100% on on board with that strategy. I'm a big fan of alts. I'm a big fan of multiple builds. Honestly, I've been pretty burned out on the Mesmer, so the Rev is going to be a nice change of pace. On my main, I often switch classes between runs. Like I'll play 4 different classes and tier 4 Fractals sometimes just to switch things up and keep my skills up on different builds. So I'm glad that strategy is working out for you. Dagrat says he loves the series, and don't worry, it's going to be continued. There's just going to be a small break while we explore Janthir Wilds, and then we'll get back into it. I'm glad you dig the content, and I keep trying to improve the quality of storytelling, editing, memes, the flow, music choices, and hopefully I can keep it up and keep growing as a channel. I will be here until the death of Guild Wars 2 and the rise of Guild Wars 3 or whatever game comes after. Demogrows mentions the Necromancer, and yeah, it's a chill class. I love Necro, but the people have spoken. We're having to go Revenant. Dr. DC says that he thinks there's going to be 0 real content on Janthir Wilds release, which I'm expecting kind of the same, except I'm trying to say it in a nicer way. I won't be doing the homestead stuff, so I'm sure that part's going to be pretty light for me. I do think the new spears is going to be cool. The new maps are probably going to be pretty cool, and so we'll all get a little bit of something. Isaac for Sweet mentioned that I called it Calderan Forest instead of Caledon Forest, which is definitely my bad. I do this all the time, and at this point I don't really care. So it is what it is. Calderan Forest, it's on the books. And with that, I want to sincerely thank you all for being here, and a special thanks to all of my subscribers, which I'm sure most of you are. I think Mr. 5597 was the last holdout of the regulars that come and watch the series, but if you aren't subscribed, please consider it. Thanks again, and I will see you on episode 22, the last episode before Janthir Wilds releases.